This is a podcast about new crops. You're going to love it. Join us on The Cutting Edge, a podcast in search of new crops for Wisconsin. Welcome to The Cutting Edge, a podcast in search of new crops for Wisconsin. I'm Jason Fischbach, the agriculture agent, Ashland-Bayfield County, and today's host. And today we've got a special episode. We're actually going to head out in the field with Jerry Clark. And Jerry, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jason, Jerry Clark. I'm the Chippewa County agriculture agent here with the Division of Extension with UW-Madison.
Jerry obviously has been a host a number of times and also a guest before, I believe.
Yeah, I was one of the guests on the wildlife plots, I believe, that we did, talking about soils and soil testing and that kind of stuff.
Yep. Well, Jerry, I think what we'll do, let's just head on out to the field and see you in action with, you're working today on, I believe it's hemp plots, right?
Yeah.
Hemp research?
Yes, we participate and plant hemp, industrial hemp. Basically, the grain and fiber research is what we do here at the Chippewa County Farm. And we provide that, it's a partnership with the Department of Horticulture at the University of Wisconsin, and work primarily with Dr. Shelby Ellison. But this project has been a couple years going. This will be our third year of evaluating varieties as well as some of the fertilizer recommendations. So we're doing a little fertilization study that goes along with it as well.
Wait, so say again, the county has a farm?
Yeah, we have Chippewa County. I think, well, probably decades or years ago, I think many counties had farms or own land where they did some farming projects and things like that. Well, the Chippewa County still owns a small plot of land. It's probably about 25 acres in size, and we probably use maybe 15 to 20 acres of that for some research and demonstration projects. So it's located just on the northeast end of Chippewa Falls, so it's pretty convenient for me having my office here at the courthouse downtown Chippewa Falls. It's only about 3 miles away, so it's easy to get to. And we do over the years, we've done a number of different research and demonstration projects with primarily the Department of Agronomy at UW-Madison, but also with any other department or specialist soils department that needs any kind of research done, applied research out in the field, get away from the Madison influence and get out into the fields around the state. So we've been able to use this county land. In the years that I've been here, it's no longer an active county farm, but since they still have the land, Chippewa County Ag and Extension Committee is still willing to let me provide some local research and continue to do these projects out at the county land.
Oh, that's great. Are there staff out there that help you, or equipment, machinery, or how do you actually do the work?
Yeah, the staff is primarily me, unless we pull in some funding for an intern, and once in a while we'll have some students, maybe from UW River Falls or the Chippewa Valley Technical College, that just want some experience. It may even be just kind of a job shadowing type of thing. So we'll try to recruit some students that want some in the field experience on research, and maybe it's a new, like when industrial hemp came out, there was a lot of interest just from industry and locally from residents and farmers interested in growing it and what it was all about. So it was a nice opportunity to be able to use that county land and provide that. So there is no staff other than me, unless I get creative and find some funding, or we're able to land a student to help for the summer. And as far as equipment, it's primarily, there's a neighboring farm, that's actually two farms that have helped over the years, that are more than willing to come over and do the tillage for us. Those major things. We do partner quite often with Carl Dooley out of Buffalo County. He has a small grain drill, plot planter type of size equipment. And we also borrow some equipment from the local John Deere dealership with Tractor Central out of Chippewa Falls, and they've been very supportive of our work. They find it very interesting to get local data, and they really find it valuable to be partnering, with the University of Wisconsin on many of these projects.
Wow, that sounds. I'm jealous. I wish I had that.
Yeah, it's very handy, and we've been able to generate a lot of local data from that, and at least, and maybe it's not so much a hardcore research project as even doing demonstrations. So if a farmer's kind of, I don't know if I want to put this on my farm, we're willing to sacrifice 5 acres or whatever. Let's see if this works. And I think that's our job as extension agents, Jason, is we make the mistakes so the farmer doesn't. That's right. Kind of, I think, what we're all about. And if we collect data and there's some valuable products that come out of that, I think that's all for the better. But I think if we can do some innovative things and say, yeah, this works, or no, don't do that. That's part of learning, I think, for farmers as well. You make the mistake and we'll learn from you.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the hemp trial today, but what else do you have? What other research projects right now?
Yeah, currently we have, we've always done some small grain research out there. And so that's where we've done some research with malting barley, spring malting barley. We even have some winter barley plots out there as well. Don't have as much success with that overwintering as we'd like, but we've also looked at some of the winter wheat and spring wheat varieties, and also do not just looking at varieties, but also nutrient applications, especially nitrogen management. We've got a big emphasis here in Chippewa County on groundwater quality and nitrates in the groundwater. So we're always trying to evaluate nitrogen and fertility applications on our crops here, rather than just take, the university recommendations that might have been driven more by the Arlington Research Station, which is 3 hours away, that this provides maybe that little bit more local touch of here's what's happening in Chippewa County. So the small grain projects have been going on for a while. Now that we've got a new farm partner on board, we may be getting back into maybe the alfalfa and hay crop research here in the next year or two. Great. So those are kind of primarily what we've been up to.
Got it. I know Carl's out there waiting for us here, but maybe one last question. You mentioned a little bit about the kind of farms that are in your area, and this work is, I assume, kind of targeted to their interests and what they're wanting to do. So just for those that aren't in that part of the state, what kind of farming is in Chippewa County and surrounding areas?
Yeah, Chippewa County is still primarily a dairy county, but it has shifted towards more of a cash grain market related to corn and soybeans, and they're always looking for an additional crop to add into those rotations. And that's where we started the research with the malting barley projects that we've been doing for several years now. I think the first year we started was 2012, and we've just continued every year since, evaluating varieties and management practices. So it's primarily those types of systems that we're trying to evaluate. And then, of course, when industrial hemp came along, is this a crop that we can introduce into a system? Is there, with the cover crops, we've investigated those types of rotations and different species as part of the county farm projects as well, and some of our local research and demonstration. So it's transitioned from dairy to more cash grain, but still we've got about 200 dairy farms still in Chippewa County.
Oh.
Well, it's certainly a gorgeous day today. Good day to do a seeding trial. See the tractors all set up, the plot seeders all set. And there's Carl Dooley. Will sometimes host and guest on the podcast, so these two will be working their magic, and I'll just sit back and watch for a bit.
Well, we're working on our hemp plot today here, trying to get our dual purpose industrial hemp plot planted. And we're working on this research project as part of a collaboration with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Horticulture Department, Dr. Shelby Ellison. We are researching our dual-purpose industrial hemp varieties that will hopefully give us some information on the different types of varieties and we're also going to look at some nitrogen, nitrogen and phosphorus applications as well in terms of fertility requirements. So we're here in Chippewa County just trying to get this planted on some county farmland that we have. And I guess this is kind of new to me to kind of do a podcast and drive a tractor at the same time. Luckily, this tractor has cruise control, so I appreciate the time that Tractor Central out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin has provided us this nice tractor to provide our ability to get this planted. So I'm going to have to make the turn here. So I'm going to stop for a minute, and we got to help my counterpart raise him up on the back end of the tractor here. It's a little 3-point drill that my colleague Carl Dooley has out of Buffalo County, and we plant several different plots with this tractor and drill that we use for a lot of our research projects out here in the county that are more applied research that we do, not so much the basic research that's done on the campus. Somebody has to do the real research out here in the field, and that's kind of what we're doing to see what farmers and applicators and growers out here in the county need. So we typically plant these, get different varieties from around the country and around the world that we plant, and are able to evaluate, like I said, varieties and some of the different agronomic traits or different agronomic practices related to fertility and some of those types of things. It's very dry here this time of year. We're about 5 inches under normal for precipitation, so this is a sandy loam soil. It's a sand lake soil that we plant into, and it's easy to work and very easy to farm as long as it rains. And of course, with the dry weather we've had, we're hoping that we get a little shower here this week and this industrial hemp will continue to grow. Had some help this month, the last few weeks here with several of our projects, with Maggie Kiku helping us every once in a while, as well as Cora out of Buffalo County. So I'm back at the end of my one run here, so I got to make another turn here without knocking Carl off the back of his seeder, and we're just trying to continue to got a couple more rounds to make here, and then we'll be able to move on to our fertility trial that we're going to be doing and get that planted. Seeding this at about a 30 pound per acre rate. We'll come back through and put some nitrogen and phosphate on this plot, as far as, we'll probably shoot for somewhere around that, I suppose around 100 pounds to the acre. We've done some research here in the last couple of years actually at this location that has shown some of that nitrogen application, somewhere between 60 and 120 pounds per acre, provides an adequate production for industrial hemp, so we'll be doing that. And we haven't had a lot of insect issues out here as well, so we've kind of tried to avoid any type of the pest management things in terms of insects. And for weed control, this has primarily been a tillage prep type of weed control. In the past, we have used like a glyphosate product as a burn down treatment, just to try to get rid of some of those perennial weeds before we till out here. But we've had a pretty clean field out here, and planting this field and specifically back into what was stubble corn silage last year. So very little residue. So we think we'll be able to have a pretty good stand here if we can get some rain. So once again, trying to like any other farm or any other farmer, takes 1 part sunshine, 2 parts rain, and 3 parts water, or 3 parts prayer, in order for it to grow anything. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do here, is get this planted and hopefully have a good productive year if we can again get some rainfall.
Okay, we'll head back inside here and ask Jerry a few more questions.
Well, I must say that went pretty well. You and Carl are good at this. You've done this a lot, but my question, it's dry. Is this stuff going to grow?
Yeah, Well, that's our out here in the field. That's where it's you hope, right? I think that's the optimism of a farmer, and I think you and I are no different when we do our research plots. Is you hope you get rain and it's a good growing season. So hopefully we can get it to grow. I think with the forecast, we should be able to pick up some rain, but a lot of it has been missing Chippewa County lately. So it is
Tell me
very
about
dry.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
this county farmland is a sandy loam. It's a Scott Lake sandy loam. So it doesn't hold water real well. So we could get an inch or two a week and not be too wet. So I'm hoping that we can get this industrial hemp to grow after we get it planted here.
All right. Well, let's go into the details here of what you guys just did today. So first, it was a hemp variety trial, if I've got that right. So what varieties are you looking at, and where are they coming from? Where do farmers go to get hemp seed right now?
Yeah, the with our project here and this is a multi-state. It's called the multi-state dual purpose trial. So these are varieties of hemp that are developed for the dual purpose of fiber and grain production. We are not in this project is not related to the essential oil, the CBD, and any of the that extraction varieties for that and production practices for essential oils. This is specifically for seed and fiber. So we're investigating 20 different varieties, actually 19 of them. Dr. Ellison has put together 19 different varieties, and to round out the block, she's found a wild variety, or what do we call it, a feral variety that's out there. So she wants to see how that performs amongst these others.
And that feral variety or feral hemp is not necessarily that feral, right? Because it may be a carryover of when hemp was grown widely in Wisconsin earlier in the century, or is this?
You're absolutely right, Jason. This is most likely one that was, could have been a top variety 50, 60, 70 years ago, whenever we were a big hemp producer here in Wisconsin. But she's been able to round up a variety and she's got it in this trial to see how it compares with the others. And it'll be very interesting to see how this produces once we get it planted here.
Yeah, cool. All right, so go through that variety list if you can.
Yeah, so the varieties that a number of different seed companies involved that are part of this. One is called Uniseeds. That's a seed source, and we have Altair and Anka are part of that. From that line, we've also got International Hemp has provided a couple of different varieties. One and I can never pronounce this one, Bialobobreski. I don't know if I can say that, Bialobobreski or something on that point. But if you see a name similar to what I've just tried to butcher, that's from International Hemp. And then we also have Henola is another one that's out there from that company. And then Hemp Genetics International is another company that is out there. And that's a pretty common one. The last 2 years where we've worked with UW-Madison graduate student, we've CFX1, CFX2. These are a couple of varieties that are being developed, but we've been able to use them the last 2 years in our trial. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare with the 18 other varieties that we have out there. And then the last one that Hemp Genetics International has is Grandy. So these are, the germinations have been very good on most of these, and it'll be interesting to see how they produce down the road. But we've got Roar Seed. Again, that's another one that, there's one. Yeah. Roar Seed is, there's H51 that we'll be evaluating, as well as Lesia and Liana. Those are two varieties from the Roar Seed Company. And then we have Omni Trade Company has provided one different variety, one variety called Lara. And that's one that some others have been able to, is quite popular. I think one thing for that variety was its reported THC levels are usually below detection. So it's very minimal, where usually you'll pick up maybe 0.2% or something like that. That's on for THC in some of these varieties, where Lara actually in the past has been below the detection level. So one that's very, very low.
0.3 is what's allowable, right?
Yes, correct.
0.3.
0.3.
Okay.
And when they mean 0.3, you can go up to 0.39. So even 0.39, they don't round up. They just kind of go back to 0.3 from that certification stand, or the salability part of it. And then New West Genetics has 4 varieties in here. These are just a number of numbered varieties. There's no name to them, just 4 different varieties from New West Genetics. Then the last 2 are uniseeds. There's a variety called Vega. And then IND Hemp is X59. And that's another one that's pretty popular that for folks that have been trying to grow dual purpose type varieties, or at least a variety for hemp and fiber. And we've evaluated X59. The last 2 years, they've been part of our variety and nitrogen trial seeding rate study that we've done in the past.
Got it. Okay, so most of those are imported, right? There are no hemp breeding programs in the U.S. yet, or is that
not that I'm aware of. That's where I think Kentucky has started kind of going down that path. I think there's some breeding being done through the University of Kentucky, but as far as I know, most of these are being imported and then handled through a seed source.
Got it. Okay, so walk us through now what are you guys going to do the rest of the year, assuming everything goes well? So it's going to germinate when? In a week?
So we're hoping to see this germinate here in hopefully 5 to 7 days. We're planning to get some forecast for rain on Sunday to take care of this drought condition. So hopefully that happens. It's a fast germinating species. And so that's one that it is a warm season crop, and that's why we plant as late as we did. So that's where we're looking at mid-June usually as a targeted planting date. And with these warmer soils, these last couple of weeks with these 90-degree temperatures, we're hoping this jumps out of the ground within 5 to 7 days. Okay. So what we'll do then is do some stand counts as the crop gets taller, and then we also start to record stem diameter, plant height at different times during the growing season. And then we'll also look at when the male flowers come out and when female flowers, flowering time. And so there's a lot of data that we're going to collect over the next couple of months here as we go through. And it's a quick growing crop, so we're probably going to be out there at least once a week, probably more, at least monitoring, and then specific dates, we will take several of these readings.
And then what about harvest time?
So harvest time, what we will plan to do is usually take about a square meter and harvest the whole plant so we can get a total biomass. And then also the seed, we'll transfer that down to UW-Madison and have that so-called thrashed or combined, gets the seed out, and then take those readings on yield of seed as well as total biomass. We've also worked with Dr. Brian Luck at the UW-Madison Biological Systems Engineering Department with a decorticator. And so that's where we'll let some of this hemp dry in the field. They call it retting. And then we will run some of this through that decorticator just for demonstration purposes. But then hopefully down the road, we can, this project can morph into more of an economic development type of program where, okay, what can we do with this fiber? What kind of products? We have a raw seed stock or a raw stock set of material now in terms of whether we bale this up or how we package some of this, but at least have some samples that perhaps some companies that are interested in developing some of this hemp into some products. And for instance, we have a number of different hemp trials going on around the state, but the one that we're connected with in Monroe County with the Ho-Chunk Nation, the Ho-Chunk Nation's kind of interested in what can they do from manufacturing hemp into a product, such as maybe get rid of plastic silverware. Can we use eating utensils out of hemp develop that where it's biodegradable rather than throwing it away and having it go into a landfill. So some of these innovative ideas like that is probably that next step after we get done with harvest is, okay, what can we do with this, and really focus. We know how to grow it now, or we've got the data from the agronomic side of it. Now what can we do with it from a product and economic development side of things?
Two questions about kind of related to that. So you have to have this tested, right? And so each of those 20 varieties, does that have to be tested individually by DATCP?
Yes. So that's where a lot of the expense comes in these research projects, is the testing. And so it's in one field, but the fact we have 20 different varieties, each one of those has to be tested. We do not have to test each individual block. And again, as you know, Jason, with research, we do a small block replicated design type of, so there's 4 blocks of each one of these out in our field. And so there's 80 blocks that we need to harvest. And we do not have to test all 80 blocks, but we have to test every variety.
It could be a real hurdle for farmers that wanted to do their own variety trials, right? Which is what makes your trial that much more important. Huh?
Correct. Yes. The way the rules are now, each variety needs to be tested. So if you were just to plant 2 different varieties, you can't just test them one as a composite. You have to have 2 different tests.
Yeah.
So
the other question, you got male and female plants in hemp. And if you're doing dual purpose, then obviously you need the pollen to make the grain. But doesn't the males die way earlier than the females, right? And so do you end up with different fiber conditions laying out in the field at harvest time, where the males are way farther along in decomposition than the females?
Yes, correct. Yeah, what you'll see is typically those male plants tend to have a more slender stalk to them or stem. And then the female plants are a little more robust from that standpoint. But yeah, you're absolutely correct, Jason. That male plant will die as soon as pollination occurs, or the pollen is released. And then as the seed gets set with that female plant, that's where the dual purpose comes in, part of it. But yeah, we'll end up with a different mix of maturity of stems at the end, because those male plants will have dried in the field a little bit longer than you would for the female plants.
Got it. In the CBD world, you can buy feminized seed, but is it too expensive to do that in dual purpose grain and fiber, where you could have, let's say, a block of 3 rows of males and a block of 3 rows of females, and you'd still get the pollination, but you'd have those fiber components separate? Or is that just, it's not big of an issue to worry about that? Or
yeah, that's I don't know that that's that big of an issue. I think maybe as we go down the path, with a seed source, is it going to have, is it 90% feminized seed and 10% males out there? So yeah, I think from that standpoint, there could be some management more from the breeding side of it, or as seed is sold, maybe that can be adjusted. But right now, I think you're going to the opportunity to on the seed, the dual purpose side of it, I think is to you're going to get what you get. I don't know that we can really unless you can go out there and identify those male plants and pull them out, or manage it that way. But right now, I think it's a little more difficult from a dual purpose side of things to narrow it down to male or female.
Okay. All right. So you're going to run it. You're going to have data by the end of the year. What happens to that data? How do growers get access to it? Where do you publish it?
Yeah. So with our hemp trial, that information, most of our data is sent to UW-Madison with Dr. Shelby Ellison and her crew. They do all this statistics and analysis and that kind of things, and those kind of things. The data gets published. We try to get that out before the next growing season. Typically, we'll try to get that out over the winter months. There's the Wisconsin Hemp website that the University of Wisconsin Madison Extension, I help as the website keep it up to date as best I can. But that data is available. Each year we put out those results, typically available on the website, but any county extension office would have access to that. And we try to, if growers are interested in that website, you can actually subscribe. So when something new is posted, you get notification. And also on that website is if you're interested, if you have product to either buy or sell or process, there is a directory there where you can enter your information and have that in the database. So if someone is searching a certain part of the state or the country for product or to sell, you can be on that database and you can set up your own network and find buyers and sellers right there on the website.
Okay. Are you going to have a field day?
Yes, we're looking at, still tentative yet, but looking at August 3rd as some type of day where most of our malting barley varieties research projects will be ready, as well as our hemp research should be fields looking pretty good at that point and have something for people to see. So we are looking at an August 3rd date once we get more details figured out.
You know what? I forgot to ask, when do you estimate you'll be harvesting these hemp plots, and will it spread out over a window given the different varieties? Or
yeah, most likely in the past, because this was driven by a graduate student project, that crew came up for one day since they had a 3-hour trip from Madison. So they did harvest it all at one time, each of the varieties. We'll probably take a more strategic approach and harvest it as needed going through as they mature, but probably looking at mid-September as a start date, as maybe some of these earlier varieties. So that's what we'll try to pay attention to as best we can when each of these varieties hits that optimum harvest time.
Got it. So it's fairly late. What happens if we get a hard freeze in early September or a hard frost? Is that a problem?
Yeah, well, that's probably going to set, I think from a seed standpoint, that would yield and seed would probably be the most detrimental. I think from a fiber standpoint, most of that should have been developed, might be a little green, so there might be a little biomass reduction. But I think for the most part, if there was an earlier harvest or an earlier frost affecting harvest, it's going to affect the seed yield more than anything.
Got it. Should we go back out and help Carl clean up, or just let him finish up?
Carl knows what he's doing. He'll get it all loaded. So
yeah, good. All right. Well, congratulations on a good trial planting, and anxious to see the results. Maybe we'll check in again.
Yeah, that
later
sounds
in
good.
the summer. Yeah.
Come out in the field and this summer, and we'll provide another report.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
This has been The Cutting Edge, a podcast in search of new crops for Wisconsin. Brought to you by the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension.